Commission, regular session, Cape Charles Civic Center, February 4th, 2020. Roll call.
Grossman present.
McCoy present.
Stewart present.
Diamco present.
Holloway present.
Let us show that we have we have a quorum and we have all the commissioners here. We can stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Joining the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comments, Tracy?
No, sir.
Do I have approval of the agenda format?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes? Any discussions on the minutes? There's one. I saw one typo on page 2 of the minutes under F, comprehensive plan update. Next to the last sentence. Top priorities, not tip priorities. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes with that one change for January 7th.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Reports. So we still have this, we got the Historic District Review Board, 5 pre-application. Is that for this month? Okay, so they haven't met yet.
Would it be too much to have the addresses of these listed?
Well, it's in their agenda packet.
Oh, so instead of just having this and going out and looking at the address.
Well, I mean, how far in advance do we get the applications and all that? Do you have it in time for our meetings most of the time?
Yes, for this meeting.
Was that too much of a hassle?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, that was a good point. The other 3 boards didn't meet. Items of interest. Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act. They mentioned having something in our comprehensive plan. That's in your lane.
Was anyone from the Planning Commission invited to that meeting?
So what meeting?
Meeting with Amber somebody?
No. It was just between staff and their staff.
Okay. So then I guess Michael should get in contact with her?
Or me with regards to what we discussed.
Okay.
And then the next bullet, is the preservation plan basically complete?
No.
No.
No, we got the next phase that town council will discuss Thursday night with regards to analyzing data from the survey.
Okay. All right. I saw this camp thing. Is that something that it might be of interest for anybody here on the commission, you think?
Yeah, so it has to be opened up to like Virginia Beach, Norfolk area as part of the grant.
Mm-hmm.
So we just reached out to Historic and Town Council at this point to get a date, and so that's kind of where we're at, and then eventually it'll be opened up to see, so that people can RSVP to it. So
Okay.
There's a specific number, I forgot, it might be 20 or 40, one of the two.
All right.
The max that can come. But yes, if there's availability, I would rather.
And this coastal adaptation working group, is that just a follow-up to the raft?
Kind of. It's an initiative by just the Eastern Shore, really. A lot of people involved to keep that on board.
So I guess my question is there some good information as part of that working group that we can get some nuggets for our comp plan?
At this time, not really. This meeting on the 22nd was to discuss an upcoming retreat, where at that retreat, they're gonna the group is really gonna identify what their purpose is, where they wanna go moving forward, so it's pretty new, it's a new thing. It used to be, it was a thing, and then RAFT came about, and that kind of got pushed aside, and now it's kind of being put back together.
Okay. And then the last bullet, did they talk about anything in the future for this area? Because I noticed the 2040 plan, I think it's the 2040 plan, had increasing, because this is for the transportation, increasing the laneage, if you will, laneage, probably not a word.
For Langford Highway?
No. Well, it looked like on 184, they would have additional lanes just coming in off of 13. Same thing over there, going across 184 across that way, and it might even have, but that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if it had said something.
It wasn't like specific initiatives going on, it was more of where the funding comes from and how to kind of pursue that.
Both state, the federal, state, and local. You know, you got all these different, it's like housing, you got all these different entities, and this day's event was to walk you through at a high level.
So you could actually request like a grant or something for our funding for specific projects.
So, yeah, so this was to, essentially, if we had discussed, if the town discusses some project that they'd like to pursue, this was really to help identify, okay, well, what kind of funding could that
Okay.
specific
All
item?
right, got it. All right. Any other questions for discussion on reports? All right. Unfinished business. Comp plan updates. So I want to thank all the commissioners for getting in their priorities. Especially I want to thank Paul for doing this spreadsheet for our last meeting. So what he's done is he broke it. He put another column in there for chapter responsible author. So that's wonderful. And he also included the golden strategies if he had them. So that's kind of like a good basis for, and then of course we also, hopefully everybody's got a chance to submit their comments or availability for the dates that Tracy put out. She hasn't compiled it, she forgot to bring it, so she will send it out tomorrow or whenever.
I'm waiting on Paul and Jim.
Jim, okay.
On this that you did, Paul, where it says encompasses and then it lists 5 things?
Yeah, so here's the oddity with that, I'm glad you said that. Really, the issue was controlling growth. But when I started in talking to Zach, putting it into a particular chapter, it really, I came back and said, well, to me, there's 5 elements, it could be more, but there's 5 elements that could entail growth. And that under my section on demographics, for instance, I should be concentrating on 1, 2, and 5. and as you go down, you'll see.
How do I'm sorry,
ahead.
I don't understand how I know that you should concentrate on 1, 2, and 5. Is that
Because
'cause it's
bolded. It's
Bolded? Oh,
No, it's not. Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, I got it.
So if you'll see it 2 more times, and 3 and 4 will be bolded.
Yeah.
Where else did I put it? I put it down on economy, growth and tourism. That would be growth. And then under transportation,
We got 6, 7, 8, and 9.
yeah, it should be 1, 2, 3. Right.
so are these the 5 things we were trying to break it down into?
No.
No,
This is-
okay.
Again, all I'm doing is data dumping everybody's idea. Nothing says in this table it has to be carried over into your sections. It's just a placekeeper to start saying, hey, we keep hearing this tourism, tourism, tourism. Where are we gonna park discussion on tourism? And any actions coming out of it. So that was what this is. In the end, as we're writing, what I envision is some cases you're gonna go, oh, Paul, you get tourism in this section, it's repeated somewhere else, either provide a pointer or your slant is different from the other, or eliminate it. You know, so we will be able to start capturing the thoughts there.
So bold means it appears in one place, is that what bold means?
No.
The controlling growth is the only oddity. All the other ones I was able to park in a chapter.
Okay,
Controlling growth was just too all-encompassing.
but tourism, that fit well.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so,
Okay.
so we have nine stakeholders meetings. I guess what we really need to come up with, besides some, we got dates that we'll hopefully be able to sort out. And we can decide how we should prioritize these. You know, who goes first, last. But I think what we really need to put a wrestle on is what are going to be the questions.
Well, here's a good, and I was gonna bring this up later, but to me, our community input on housing is done. And why I say that is,
Okay.
we had a Northampton County housing input session. There's a community block grant that the county has dealing with housing, what to do in the county moving forward. We had a session here and in Exmoor. They had sheets, we split up in tables again. We wrote down all the things that we felt at the table, that went in, read each one, you know, going around at the end. That's gonna be collected, put on the county's website as input. And as I looked around, I even made a statement at the end, I'm gonna use this as input for Cape Charles, since 95% or more people are from Cape Charles.
But do you think then that the people who live in Cape Charles thought that was gonna be about Cape Charles?
Yes, it was talked about at, we sat in the tables.
I agree, I understand, but I didn't go to it. So I figured it was just county and I had other things to do.
Well, it was well represented. We had 50 people there. So whether you think 60 should have been the number or 80, I think 50 was adequate, and to say 45 of those 50 were Cape Charles, perfect. So it's just a subject that I put out there that once it's posted, I think we should pull that over and post it also on our website on the comp plan. The actual results.
But there's some specific results from that meeting that along with some other data. I don't have a whiteboard and blackboard. If we have time tonight, I'd like to go through a little drill that has some implications, I think, for our town and affordability.
Whatever. That's not to say housing is the end I'm just saying, that to me was a session that what we're trying to do with others was perfect for housing.
But the data I have is accurate, and my math is correct. You know, about 60% of the residents of the town cannot afford affordable housing, as it's defined in these places. So that, I think, is worth somebody's attention.
Affordable housing.
Well, okay, but we'll end up commenting, because I have my housing goals already
Okay,
stated.
so let's hold it till you get to that part.
It doesn't mean that these are cast in concrete, but as of my data gathering, this is my first initial. I'm going back now to listen to what came out of the conference to see if I have to add, delete, to modify any of these particular ones. And we'll end up doing that every time we meet with a group of people.
We'll just talk some more about it when we get to that.
Okay.
When we do these stakeholder meetings, we're not, I know we're inviting people specifically, but when we advertise it, we're just saying it's an open meeting, right?
Yeah. It's an open meeting, anybody can attend, we're gonna specifically invite people, and we should tell them, you know, who the audience is, and then, but if they wanna come, because maybe they can't come to other stuff or whatever, you know, they're welcome.
Okay.
We don't turn anybody away,
No, I know.
so. So I'm sure that everybody's still, as I am, wrestling with exactly the top. I mean, we're almost there, but it's like we don't have a true handle on what it is, 5 or 6 or do we?
They're
almost all the same. I mean, they talked about workforce housing, we talked about golf cart safety. This is in no particular order. We talked about sidewalks, quality of water, the stormwater management, which includes, you know, resiliency, you know, the bay. We talked about tourism versus in residence, and that balance there.
To me, I think we're getting hung up with solidifying what our top 5 items are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think, in my mind, if you're going to bring a group like real estate agents in, you would tailor the questions or inputs from our chapters around what would be most pertinent to them. For them to say they're going to comment on our wastewater facilities, no. They may comment on water quality, maybe. Land use, maybe. Housing, yes. So there are certain subjects that I think are very specific to various groups, as opposed to really losing sleep over what are the top 5. If I talk golf cart safety, and I bring realtors in and bring it in front of them, you know, yeah, okay. So to me, realtors, you know, trying to think some of the other groups, to me, you would have to tailor what are the subjects that you would like to extract from them.
And are we asking them to fill out a survey, or are we just
Well, we
throwing
haven't
out
gotten
questions?
to that, but
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know how we're gonna handle this at this point.
Well, if we go back to what we did for our first work session, we had 6, I think we had 6 kind of questions that we asked, and we broke them up into tables and stuff. So if you want to add on to what Paul said, let's just say we take the 2 town things first. So, you know, the town is probably concerned with everything. I mean, that we have on the table, I would think. The employees, I would think they would be more concerned about the infrastructure here. We talked about and safety and, you know, sidewalks and,
Well, you'd go to the, our chapter on community facilities. That's a big focus
right.
in their area. Not that that's the only thing, but that's a prime focus that we would structure some questions around and have open.
Well, I mean, there could be the stuff on, for example, on housing. Whereas, okay, because it was in there, and Diane even commented on too, is about what do we have on the books, and you wrote it in there on houses that are not taken, not maintained. So, you know, I don't know if we have any, I don't know, we even have an ordinance in there. I know that it's a cost, it's a cost.
I've met with Jeb and got data on what he has actually taken down as far as homes. You know, because one of the previous comp plan was, we want to stress that we want to clean up somebody's old homes. Well, I just carried through to see whether we did it or not. I went and visited him and said, yes, we have been doing that, and here's examples over the past year or two that says it's still being done, and ordinances on the book. that
Do you mean
covers it.
what? Making them take the houses down or fix the houses?
The safe, unsafe houses that are structurally unsound are being demolished. And we have ordinances that cover that.
I must have misunderstood the ordinance. I thought the ordinance also covered if you're letting a house.
Yeah, it has words to it,
And
right?
you
Yes.
should, and you should really
Well, the
not.
town, yes, we have ordinances that catch that ahead of time. But again, is that
Are we
something?
enforcing those?
It's a question that I'd have to go search for the answer.
Typically, you know, the destruction, the eminent domain takeaway is last resort. But your question is still outstanding.
Well, I think what we see on some houses is the owners don't want to rehab them to the extent they have to. So they're letting them get so bad that they're no longer structurally sound and they can take them.
Okay, so
Yes, right.
that's a good question. And the question I would then come back to is where should that be discussed? In housing or enforcement, wherever the enforcement is discussed? Do I lump enforcement with golf cart safety, traffic, you know, a bunch of other things that we feel are not being enforced? And if so, where is that captured?
I think that is already in the District Review Board guidelines
For what?
for not letting the house fall down
No, it's an ordinance. It's an actual ordinance that
in
says,
the zoning ordinance.
that's correct.
Then there's no need really to do anything except direct someone to enforce
Well, I'd first come up and say, where is it not being enforced? You know, is it a problem that we need to go address?
And is that something we put in a comprehensive plan? Or is that something we would keep our eyes open?
Well, apparently it came out of the last one where people were concerned about houses in disrepair to a point where, hey, and I know it's a big thing in county. The county has really stressed they're going after this and they are taking houses down. I don't believe that's the case anymore in Cape Charles. It may have been 5 years ago or even further back. But right now, I don't believe that is something that we have to carry forth as an issue. I'm willing to further discuss that and review it. But that's my gut feeling now.
I do believe that there should be some general language in our comprehensive plan with regard to sustaining a property, period, to a living standard, whatever that is, so that we're not specifically saying, there's 2 houses, 5 houses, whatever. But the bottom line is that the properties in this district, as well as the Cape Charles town in whole, that the homeowner is responsible for maintaining that home to a living standard.
Okay, so is this a community input that's coming out? Or a gym input? And is it a problem that I need to?
I'm making a comment.
Okay, but I'm saying, out of the comp plan, they need to take action on this stuff. And what I point to is, are we void in our ordinances on this subject? And we may. If you really get into it, you may still be void on it, or not. Because ultimately, I'm gonna take the action items at town council and say, okay, number one, what do we do?
I don't know, is the problem that we have the ordinance and enforcement? And that has been a long-standing problem, and that's how we got into the situation for the last 20 years? Or is it that we don't have enough robust ordinance so that enforcement is not as big of a deal? I guess that's my big challenge, is like, where did we let the dam break a little bit,
What I've asked though, is this a problem that we need to solve through the data input that we're getting? Or is this just a
Data input
hypothetical?
from
From
our
housing?
surveys?
Yeah, or surveys. People apparently bubbled this up at one point in time.
They have.
Yeah, but not now. And all I'm saying is right now, over the past number of years, we've been addressing these structures.
True.
There's still a question, that may be valid, have we done enough? And until I hear more, I can't say that's a problem.
Well, I'll give you an example of one, and I may be off base here, but it may have been because it was not factual, but the house that sits right across from the hump, that was, we talked about this before,
From where?
from the hump, going up the
Oh,
hump.
the hump, yeah.
And that was the lady that
Work in the drugstore.
works in
Yeah.
the Rayfields.
And I can tell you, Jeb has been in that house.
Is it structurally sound?
I think they took down the chimney in the back or something like that.
So,
So
I was told
Go
that she did not have the money for the demolition, that they had to take it down. So, but I don't know if
That's not the case. Again, it was reviewed by Jeb and appropriately addressed. The house does not have to come down at this present time.
Okay, all right.
But the next question to go with that, the house doesn't have to come down. It is structurally sound, but is it in a situation where it could become less and less structurally sound?
And that's
Because
what-
maybe holes in the roof or
That's
something?
what Jeb will have to continually review. If nothing's done to that house, he'll have to be back in it to look at it.
Well, again, I know that the people that live next door in the old commercial building, I know they've raised concern because, well, hey, it's right next door to me, So, and to the
Well,
town.
maybe they need to then submit a request over to Jeb to give me a rundown on what that house is. Okay?
All right, well, anyway, so we're getting into the weeds, so.
Do they put the request into Jeb, or do they have to put it into the mail?
I put it on a website. There's a request for information.
On a
It
website?
goes and it gets directed to whomever is there, and it works.
Okay.
But back to priorities,
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna have stakeholder meetings, I think we darn well ought to have 9 priorities, because when the civic groups come, they need to know that we've listened and that we are addressing their concerns and that they are a priority, and all of these people, that's the priorities for now that we focus on.
Okay.
Well, maybe what we should do is prioritize the listening.
Why? I mean, they're all priorities.
No. We have nine
Nine
groups,
stakeholder groups, right?
so we're gonna come up with 9 dates.
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
So we need to set who's gonna be the first, who's gonna be,
One through this, do you think it's based on priority, who's the most important?
no,
No.
Okay.
no, I think we should come up with something that makes sense.
Maybe we shouldn't call them priorities, then maybe we should just call them goals. Because priorities imply
These are groups.
a graduated listing.
Well, the only graduation is the people left out of these 9 things are lower priority.
Yeah.
It can be, the scale can be of any kind, or.
In all high school, priority 1 means priority 1.
Who's,
Priority 2 is not priority 1. So that's what I'm saying.
You've
If
got
you've got a
priority
listing
and
of
non-priority.
things, and these are all the same level of priority,
For now.
then they're not priorities. They're all goals of which we're trying to reach.
To be refined,
Right.
but you don't have to come up with a final.
No, wait,
Can
I think
somebody
what we-
make this discussion clear to me? I don't understand this discussion.
we have 9 groups that we
We
came
have
up with.
9 groups, right.
That's where we're gonna, the 9 stakeholder groups that we're gonna have individual sessions from those.
Mhm.
And we've talked about, now we need to tailor our priorities based on those groups, all right?
Right.
So we're gonna have priorities per group.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, like Paul said, realtors may not be
No,
interested in
I
it,
totally agree.
okay? They're interested, I'll tell you what, they're, you know, they're interested in tourism, selling homes, and renting homes, if they're in the rental business. But whether they're interested in safety, sidewalks, I don't know.
Maybe, what, we come up with 5 questions for each group and then let that become a discussion where other things come into it? Because we may come up with 5 and then we may end up with 2 of those jettisoned and 4 more added.
Well, I think 5, if you had a group in here, and you had, and I don't know how this one that you just went to, how was it handled? Was it a round robin, or was it just go over to somebody having a,
No, it was by table, regardless of where you just sat. Mike, you were there, right? He was sitting on one table, I was sitting on another, you had different groups of people.
but they asked the same questions?
Yeah, you got the same question, you get a form, you fill out, they collect the forms. You hand it, you read it, they collect it immediately, and they're gonna end up typing those forms, and then lay them all over on one, so you have kind of a
Did
mass.
they have a recap at the end?
No, every table recapped.
But I mean, the table recap to the other audience?
Yeah, you stood up and you said, question number 1.
Yeah.
Here's my input.
Okay.
That's what we did.
That's what we did in July.
That's what we did in July.
Correct.
So
I'm
now
just
we're
saying, we
gonna come
just
back
did
to
that in housing area, which I thought was very fruitful for our,
Yeah, we're gonna come back with a presentation of them of what we got from that, and then they're gonna listen and tell us if we're missing anything, right? We're not gonna go around again and say, now, what would you like as a church group or anything like that?
no, we have specific questions you're gonna ask of these people, tailored to that group.
Right.
You know, I've mentioned before that I've been going around just asking people questions in terms of the comprehensive plan. And I find you ask a question, you get an answer, but if you then delve into that answer, so much more comes up. So if we're asking 5 questions, we're all gonna sit around at different tables and talk about it. Each one stands up and says, we came up with this, and this. We're missing more information, I think, if we don't discuss it further.
Can I take this up another notch or 2?
Yeah.
I'm concerned that we're getting into the weeds about what was the most interest expressed by the community on the survey. Because we seem to have gotten much broader than that. Because I based mine based on the number of responses that came in. Those have the highest weight. What was the topic? That's the topic. And safety, golf carts, while it's important, was not in the, didn't hit the mark. I have my own top 5, which are based strictly on the questions or issues that the community was most vocal about. You know, how many, you know, of the number of people who responded, what was the highest percentage response to that topic? And that's what we based mine on. So that's why I'm wondering, while all these other things are important, let's make sure we're all the same mind of what our objective is here. That's all.
Let me read mine.
Go ahead.
Now, I did the top two,
Okay.
all right? So, and I did it by question 4, 5, 8, and 7, I think, or 6 and 7, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I got beach, images family-centered beach town.
Question 4.
Yes. Access to medical centers, public restaurants.
Question 5.
Preserving history and architectural quality,
Question
encouraging economic development. And quality of drinking water, access to medical.
Question 7.
Right. So those were the top things that people wanted. Now,
There was also question 6, explore ways to maintain, enhance, and improve stormwater management. That was another one that had a lot of people concerned about, and that's why that was my fifth one. You know, it was in a mix of 5. I didn't put them in any order, I just put them in the order the question came.
well, what my
Right.
thinking about this is, if you look at this, beach and image as family-centered beach town, you could even stick those together.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, access to medical centers came up twice.
Yeah,
Public restrooms.
But you know, I'm
Go
gonna tell you
ahead.
right here,
Go ahead.
medical, I don't know what we can do about medical.
I don't either, but it's a possibility.
I understand that, but, I mean,
You raise a good point.
but there's nothing this town can do without the county on medical. We've been told before that there's not gonna be, we don't have the population to have an emergency or an urgent care facility here in Northampton County.
Do we have an ambulance?
Yes.
Is it,
Yeah,
but the
exactly.
rescue squad is volunteers, so no one is there all the time with that
No, but
ambulance?
they're 24/7.
They
Yep.
are.
Yes, they are. Yep.
And it's,
They're in Sheridan?
Yeah.
well, they're not right at Sheridan, they're right across the.
It's right across 13.
Right, exactly, yep.
Because to me, I mean, one way of looking at it, access to medical centers, well, we're certainly not going to be able to do that based on how our population is. We've discussed that, but perhaps if we had an ambulance in town, and now we don't, I guess maybe we don't need one of what's in Sheridan, but that's a different way to address it. If we could get them to
Well,
medical care
and we
faster.
know, we have write-ups on that, so, I mean, yeah, I mean, but what I'm trying to say is, and I understand the concern. A lot of people say, you know, you got the 30-minute window of life, and you know, there's 40 minutes up north, and there's 40 minutes across the way. I mean,
Those are arguments for a different population.
But you see, but I'm just saying, I know it's a concern,
Yep, absolutely.
and then people, and just like, you know, you could say the same thing with education, but you know, what are we gonna do with it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
You raise absolutely valid point, absolutely valid
But
point.
did we not also discuss that even though we're gonna look at this survey, we as a group are also going to bring up things that we think are important, right?
No.
We're
no,
not?
No. We will, not in the top 5 we
It's
won't.
disagreement, that's all I'm saying.
But we'll go through and discuss our stuff, but not as part of the top 5 that the community said.
So you're saying
But-
that the comprehensive plan is gonna be the top 5 that the,
No, this was a way to elicit feedback from the stakeholders. Nothing more than that. So this doesn't necessarily drive the comp plan, it more likely drives to a point the questions we want to pose to the various stakeholder groups. Right? I mean, that was the context that this was issued at, right?
If you look at my survey results, I didn't limit to the top 5. I said, here are the 19 things that I've extracted from the survey that people felt
Yep.
were important.
Yep, understood. I mean, yeah,
And
exactly.
to waste any time to go and try to pick out the top 5
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's not gonna do it for me.
yeah, yeah.
But that's the input I heard from the community in our surveys. We'll hear reinforcement in our ad hoc groups and other means of collecting data.
Okay, so we're getting there. So we've got, so what we gotta do, let's just say Paul has 19 things.
Mhm.
So if we digested those, we could assign, because those 19 include your 5,
Yeah,
Or 6.
yeah, right, yeah, right.
and if we took those and grouped them by our 9
Stakeholders.
stakeholders,
Yes,
we
right.
should be able to come up with 5, the top 5 of those 19 things, making sure that they're all covered in the 9 groups, right? You think so? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm willing to try to take that on for the next meeting.
God
Okay.
bless you, sir.
Is there some discussion on that? or
No, I mean,
is
they're
it-
not on all the people, wait, you might have something with 5 items in it that is not as important as another one with 2,
And I don't want to shut you down on your the comment you made before.
right? I mean.
We will still go through discussion. Any of us can bring up an item that we think is important, and we can discuss and decide, how, you know, where does it fit? Is it really that important? Is there a community interest in it? Yada, yada, yada. I don't mean to imply that we're not going to go that route. I just want to make sure we're doing this the most effective way we can. That's all.
We want to get as much information as we can
Yep.
on all the groups.
Yeah.
And if somebody says something out of the blue at one of the stakeholders meeting, and that table discusses it, and said, yeah, you know, it makes sense,
Yeah.
then, you know, it should be on the table and it should be brought up.
If we go any further than priority, I mean, thinking about the systems, military systems, you know, there are about 200 or so that are priority that they can fund. And if you've got priority number 320, that's pretty good, because you're only 120 away from being funded. I mean, those are priorities that they're working with and
Oh,
all.
thanks, Ed. Yep, yep.
So, you know, I don't think we should be worried, because priorities in the end are gonna, the capital improvement program, and, you know, we're not gonna be making decisions about which the most money should be put against them. You know.
No,
That's his crew's
But-
decision.
But you see,
That's what we're having, when we talk about specific priorities.
But you know what, Mike? If it comes up, and after it's all said and done, and it comes out of most of the groups that we talk, and they say, we want the sidewalks done. We want all the sidewalks finished in this town. And we convey that to the town council,
Right.
then I guarantee you that it's gonna go on the CIP, and it's gonna go up there high, based on the funding.
Yeah, there's general grant, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, we're giving them the background for this, okay? And so,
And that's all, I'll just say that the 19 items are not necessarily all actionable items. Some are statement sentiment that we
your point.
want, so out of the 19,
Yep.
again, just from the survey,
Yep.
you know, half of them perhaps are things, enforcement of golf carts. Okay, that sounds like something that's highly desirable and it will result in an action item or strategy to address. That one is complete. Family, friendly, beach, town,
What is
I don't know what you're gonna do, but an element out of that may be tourism and the conversation that we have to have about tourists. So again, you park the one aside, but then one of the other 19 is tourism and what to do with it and needing more input.
Or to be devil's advocate, it could be something as simple as there's something in the ordinances that says no nude beaches.
but you know,
It could be
I mean, what you just said there, and let's just take that one step further.
Yeah.
So you give that to the residents, and they're gonna, and you know, what they're gonna say is, yeah, we agree with that, but you know, I live up on the corner of of Bay and Monroe, and I can't even park in front of my own house, you know, in the summer. So parking's gotta have.
All right, but under transportation, which is one of the 19, deals with parking, so you.
I understand, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
you know, just because that was one of your 19 doesn't mean that there can't have some cross-fertilization.
Oh, yes, we need reaffirmation of these 19 over and over.
Because it's gonna
to
help,
make
it's gonna
sure-
help council decide which are really important to fund.
Correct.
Right.
So would we come up with, so it seems to me some of this is not really a comprehensive plan, like enforce golf cart rules. But that is something that people are saying over and over again.
It's a safety issue.
So would we instead say to the council, here's what we're finding in our survey, you might want to consider looking into golf carts, as opposed to making it something in the comprehensive plan?
Absolutely.
Either way, but I'd also gear that discussion item to community facilities when the police are here representing and asking that as a line item so that we hear their input. And again, it doesn't mean that we have to do something, we can hear it and then factor it into your write-ups. One person crying for it, it's like, okay, good luck.
We gotta hear it, yes, right. Yep. It's like anybody who comes to this board with whatever issue or whatever, you know, because, we have to listen, we don't have to necessarily have to respond, because we've got to take into consideration, is it something appropriate for the entire community?
So we had a list of individuals that some people have provided. Everybody should have a copy of those individuals. It was in the last work session. So if you have other individuals that you think we should invite that fall into these groups, like the churches thing, I only saw like two pastors on there, you know, and so so if you want to add some more of that, I think what you should do is give some,
Tracy, didn't I put Don Donovan in?
is provide Tracy with some additional names and make sure that they fit in one of the 9 categories. Or they may fit in more than one category. You know, I will tell you that I put down, word gets around here, I'm telling you this. I put down Sherry Petersek, and she found out, hey, how come my name was...
Yeah, I mean,
What are you trying to do to me?
I'm concerned about using names. We've got a list of the churches in the town and who the pastors are, just pastor the church. We don't have to be kidding. If you get into individuals and there's going to be people, why do you do me? Why do you do me? I mean, we invite people.
Well, I'm just saying...
We know that half of them are going to respond.
Well, now, if...
We don't want to exclude anybody.
I didn't say we're good enough. I said we'll take everybody, but if you just give it, if you just send it out to every town, every church,
Yeah.
well, what are you gonna do, say pastor of Trinity?
Yeah. Doesn't have to be low or whatever it is, you know.
Well, I think it's a little bit more personal if you put
Well,
somebody's name on
It
there.
is more personal, but then you're getting into problems if you get that personal.
Well, not necessarily. If you're sending out an email, you can send out a group email where it only shows the one person's name and then the next person's name. So I can't see anybody else but me on that email.
Right.
Don't exclude anybody.
If you, yeah,
I
well,
mean, just because there's 2 names, doesn't, I mean, I can think 3 or 4 off the top of my head, but they ought to all
Absolutely.
be covered by the town information about the churches without having, have us submitting names.
I just want, when I gave those names, I think that they would add value to,
You would hope they come.
well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you put something out there and you don't get anybody to show up. I mean,
Mike, are you concerned about us not being aware of the relationships that these communities, churches in particular or others, have that we are blind to, that would feel offended because we didn't have their name on the list? Is that where you're coming from?
I'm just worried about cheap shots that can come from anywhere for any reason. I mean, if you have a typo or something like that, somebody's gonna say, look at that, you know, I don't know, where it's got tips and all like that.
Well,
You know,
if we send it out by email, I'm sure that the town
Well,
would, sure that the town would have a list of their emails, and they're gonna basically put it down as a BCC. So that you get it, you don't know who else got it, okay? You don't know who else got it, and you're invited. I mean, we can do it that way. So they don't know that there was 30 other people when they see their names on there. I mean,
And then you get wild cards, like folks who say, I wonder if so-and-so got it, let me send it off to them. There's nothing we can do to.
no, I mean, we have to we're gonna have to come up with the standard email to these people saying, you know, we invite you to this, but I don't think we should say, you know,
Well, I'm not
forward to your other, I mean, there may be somebody that does
Yeah,
that,
yeah, exactly.
but I mean, we will not turn anybody away.
Exactly. I'm not suggesting we would.
However you wanna do it.
So Paul is gonna come up with 5 questions for each one of these groups.
Well, I don't know if I'll get to 5, but I'll take
Okay.
the list of 19 and spread them out across how many groups did we say, 8 or 9?
9.
9 groups?
But you know, you got the town employees, and you got the town boards and commissions. So, that's only 4 boards, right? And 1 commission, right?
6.
6?
Historic wetlands are PC, BZA, town council.
Okay. I hadn't included the town council.
And quasi, I don't know where that tree board would come in. But I don't think it would be,
That's not the main, we're talking about what town boards, right? Is that what you're
So-
talking about?
You're coming up with questions.
No, I'm gonna take the 19 items and spread them out.
Yeah.
If I have time, I'll see what I can do to flush out what question would be associated with that item.
When you say question, what do you mean, why question?
Or some kind of
Or topic.
input to lead
It's
the,
not, we're gonna say, these are the questions we want you to answer at the stakeholder meeting.
we'll eventually have to get there.
I mean, that would sound like we're looking for your input.
Yeah, well, that's where we are, looking for their input.
But we got that in July, and we're gonna be talking and telling them, this is what we've got so far, are we missing anything, right? Not like, well, what do you all want, starting from the tabula rasa or something like that?
No, it would be, again, tailored
To the,
housing questions
This
asked
is
the
what we
other
think
night.
we want, right? And then,
Tailored to that particular group, right?
okay, so it's just, okay. So it's not just a round table where they put in what they think we should have in the thing.
No, it's tailored to that
They're
particular
questions.
group, right.
I would hope that there would be a lot of people that come in here that didn't respond to the survey, didn't come to our first work session. And this will give them that opportunity to, you know, give us their input, you know? I'll tell you, like, Tom Godwin, I don't think he's done anything. But I know Diana Davis has. I mean, you can look at.
What you would have me done?
Nice chat with Tom the other day, he seemed fine. Okay, all right, anyway.
Where does the Cape Charles Main Street organization fit into any of this?
I know.
They would be
I was just looking at it, I was like,
Economic vitality?
under civic group.
no, it's
Well,
not a civic.
They're kind of
It's
quasi.
more, it's not a town organization, but it's here to help revitalize the town.
Mhm.
So where does it actually fit, and they should be a stakeholder?
Should be under economy.
Under what?
Yeah,
Economy.
Economy?
because the economy guy has already talked to him.
Okay.
Wait a minute, but we don't, no, aren't you asking which stakeholder group they come under?
Do we need to?
We don't have an
do we
economy
need to-
stakeholder group.
Right.
No, it was just because I wanted their input, because it seemed appropriate for the chapter I'm responsible for,
Yeah.
that's all, nothing more than that.
Well, if you wanted to put them under anybody, then they would best probably fit under business owners' restaurants.
I mean, you know, hotels, B&B.
Well, I'm telling you what, Cape Charles Main Street has a designated area and it's supposed to be mostly commercial, okay?
Yeah, right.
And so mostly commercial is businesses and restaurants. I'm serious, I'm on Cape Charles Main Street, okay?
Yeah, well,
And to be fair,
except that the majority of the people who work as volunteers with Main Street are not business owners
No.
or restaurants. They're mostly
But-
volunteers
But
that
that's,
have.
those are the volunteers. I thought you were talking about like the program director or board members.
That's why I was.
That's all you want to talk to?
Right.
Well, the other ones can come as residents or whatever. I mean, they can do their thing. When you mentioned the tree thing, I mean, if you wanted to, you could say, well, there was a parking subcommittee, and there was a wayfarer subcommittee.
Yeah.
His mantra is, we're not turning anybody away.
No, I get that. But we do want to get the best possible information we can get from them.
Yeah, which means we want to at least give them some context for discussion, which is what we're trying to get here. If he's gonna add more content to it.
And
So,
whatever, I'll
but-
add, well, to my 19, I'll add whatever goals you've come up, because remember, the 19 was extracted from the survey.
Right.
You also have pulled together your sections
Yep.
and have developed goals that may have aligned with some of them, but now you have data that says, no, there's more stuff that didn't come out in the survey.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that we wait, have you do the 19 things. Let's take a look at that, and then let's discuss it more from that point. I don't think we should get ourselves in a situation where we have picked dates for stakeholder meetings. I think we really need to work this out, 'cause I think this is going to be pretty critical to our decision-making as we go forward. So it's better to get this done right, and then we can speed up other things if we have to.
Well, we have dates. The first date that we even looked at was the end of this month.
But the next time we're gonna hear this from Paul is when?
2 weeks.
Work session.
2 weeks.
A
and
week
that's-
from Monday,
So there's
2 weeks from yesterday, or 2 days, yesterday.
Okay,
Yes, so.
would that be soon enough to hold a meeting at the end of the month? We don't know.
Well,
I don't know, maybe not.
give me
No, we're not ready.
a target group that you would have, so I can really make sure I spend time on that particular group with questions.
That's all, yeah.
I think a good one, really, would be builders, realtors, rental agents, owners of rental homes. I think that would be a really good one.
No, they don't. So-
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right.
So-
It's not till the 24th,
24th, right.
it's our next meeting,
Okay.
because we have a holiday. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
President's Day.
All right, so that's, to me,
That's probably, the end of the month would not work.
yeah, the end of the month is not gonna
No way.
work.
So we only had like 2 dates at the end of the month, so we just scratched those. But Tracy gave us, I think there was a couple in the first week in March, so. If you wanna, Diane said, builders, realtors, rental agents, rental homeowners, first in the barrel. Is there anything wrong with that?
Is that a good, particularly the last part? The rental homeowners, we're not right now in high season for people to come here and rent homes. Is now the right time to try and get that piece of the data? Or do we need to push this closer to when we have more people renting homes here in town?
Well, we don't
Well,
want to talk
no.
to the people, we want to talk to the owners. who
We
are
want to
renting.
talk to
I
you,
realize
that.
yeah.
But
That's,
what's the availability of someone that doesn't have anybody renting a home right now? it's probably more probable we're gonna get it once that home is starting to rent for the season, right?
I would suggest just the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're in the business, I'm
No, I'm not in the business.
but, well,
I'm not in the rental business.
okay, fair enough. fair
Yeah.
enough, yeah.
Well, let me
That's why I'm
clarify
asking the
something.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't necessarily say to make that our first stakeholder meeting, but to try that as a topic to try to flesh out.
Yeah,
You know,
but
you do the other
all I'm
topics,
saying,
but
if we're
make
gonna
this-
try to turn around and have a stakeholder meeting in another week or two after,
Yeah.
we need to pick the one that we're going after.
I don't understand why we are pushing this so hard to have these meetings so quickly. There's no reason why, in between getting that set up for the stakeholder meetings, we cannot continue to do our work. For example, Paul has done a lot on housing. I would love to have a meeting where he sits and talks all about housing and demographics. I mean, it's nice to read it, but it's better to hear it and to ask questions and to have it come together and be meaningful. So we could still make some decisions on those things while we're doing this.
Well, I would think that everybody is trying to add to their chapter, okay? And if you update your chapter and give it to Tracy, then, you know, it would be put in the agenda packet, so you have an update and you can read it. And what you're saying is you would also like to have him explain more of that?
So that we could, as a group, ask questions. Okay, so we found out we have a lot of poor people in town. What does that mean? Is that something we should focus on? Oh, the county's doing such and such. Okay, so maybe we'll just focus on it in terms of supporting the county. Because he's gonna be the one who, I mean, we can put out these reports, but boy, reading them is really tough when you don't have any background on it at all. And then we never discuss it.
Well, we will discuss it, that's part
Right.
of the, after your stakeholders meetings, and then, you know, it talks about the drafts. I mean, we got a whole time with drafts, to go over the drafts, after you've gathered all your input.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you, my sections make changes specifically on goals and strategies.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
So more of what I hear.
Especially as we get feedback from the stakeholders. Yep.
Would the feedback from the stakeholders be more meaningful if we had had a discussion from each person?
I would suggest no. I don't want to filter their input. I want their input to be raw so that we can try and get a unfettered sense of what are really the issues for the community as a whole. I don't want to put my viewpoint on top of that. I want them to feed me what they think is important.
Do you want to give them information to start the meeting with?
Yeah.
But sometimes, yes, you will.
Yeah. The topics for discussion, for instance.
Well, no.
No, I mean, we'll
an
give them a
intro.
little bit of background. and-
It's like an icebreaker,
And
kind of.
where we are and where we, you know, how we got here real quick, but I mean, that's
Because if you go with housing, you're gonna get a lot of emotional responses, where if, I think that's what I wanna stay away from. It's easy to say we need workforce housing. That sounds like a good idea. But it would be better if we knew, well, this is how much housing we have for people who are,
and you know, he's gonna, I think his chapter will have something that's part of that. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna have something in there about the county and us, and, you know, I mean, at least workforce housing, and like he said previous, you know, in the next year and a half, it may change drastically. We've already talked about, we only have so much land here.
Right.
And so, you know, what is the availability of some place to put workforce housing in the town? I mean, you know, and then it's something that's hard to grasp here. I mean, and he knows it better than we do, because he's gone to all the meetings, but it's just, without the incentives, and that's something that the town would have to work with, but, you know, I know that there's been a couple of town council members, one in particular says, well, we got 250 people, new employees here in this town, where are they living?
Who are they?
Well, they work here. At least there was 200 at Coastal Concrete, supposedly, eventually. I mean, they may be gradually, and then the thing down at the yacht center was supposed to have about 50. So I would think that something would eventually come to light in that chapter before it goes for publication, for us to chew on. It says, well, did we answer the question for people to understand where we stand, or where the county and the town stand on workforce housing? You know, it could be that, well, we're working it, we're trying to do some to incentivize developers. You know, I don't know. You know, it's a catch-22. I mean, if I'm a developer, I want to make a reasonable profit, you know, and if I could, so if a 2-bedroom, 2 baths are selling, and they're selling for X amount of dollars, then that's what I'm going to go for.
Yep.
I mean, that's, hey, supply and demand. And you know, everybody we've talked to said that this is a hard problem to overcome.
And not to get into specifics, but there were developers at the affordability meeting, and Doug, the guy beside me, said, you know, the importance of subsidies cannot be underestimated on this, and that's a whole other area to get in. So, you know, we can't just solve it right here in a few words.
Where do those subsidies come from?
Yeah, we could say
Well,
that.
again, be careful now, don't jump into solutions, come up with what is our goal and what are the couple strategies to address it. Doesn't mean that if they're,
Right.
You know, this is my point. You two at least have been at that meeting. You've written something on it, but the rest of us have not. And so if we sit here and we discuss housing, there's really only one person with a whole lot of knowledge, one person with some knowledge, and the rest of us are just relying on you. Whereas if we had a discussion about it, as
okay, I'm
opposed to
sure
just
we'll
being
get to
told.
that point.
Well,
We're
that's-
getting into the future there where we're reviewing chapters, okay? I'm looking for this group to really provide feedback on, hey, Paul, you nailed it, or hey, you're a little light on this, or you missed this altogether. That's gonna come.
So we're gonna say that all that is gonna be after the stakeholders meetings.
Yeah, I want to revise my section based on what I hear. The statistics will not change, but some of the focus on may change.
Okay. Yeah. I still feel the same way. I still think we should wait until the next meeting to decide.
And that's fine,
And
and
what
that's
you've
fine,
done.
and I think that's fair. I mean, that's absolutely.
Okay.
If anybody finds themselves with time on their hands, you know,
Oh, you mean
between
Zach
now
and
and the next,
Tracy?
between
Great.
now and the next meeting,
I've already put the sweat entries on my calendar, just listen to this thing beep at me.
you might want to just kind of take a stab at how we could formulate an email that goes out to the various stakeholders. Most of it will be the same for everybody, except, but anyway. And I just want to reiterate, because Tracy's like, she's the I want to say the FOIA police, but anyway, if you send out something, you are allowed to send out something to everybody as a commissioner. But if they are gonna respond, they only respond to you, not to everybody. Right?
Correct.
You're actually allowed to have 2 people, okay? But when you have 3, it's a meeting.
It also
It's a
depends on,
no-no.
it also depends on the timing of the responses, whether it's a meeting or not. I was told on that, Councilman White, on that.
Really?
I don't think so, but she watches it closely. But she said,
So,
if it's like a tweet or a text, and it's a quick response, then it's really, and there's more than,
well, we don't do that here. We,
I don't know what I'm
We're
saying
talking
is,
emails.
right. So if it's a quick response typically, then it becomes a meeting.
well, what,
Versus
so,
several hour response, then it's not necessarily
Well-
considered a meeting legally.
anyway, if somebody wants to do an email and of what we're gonna put out, we have already what we did on the work session. And, but there should be a little bit of background in the email, just to tell them what, you know, what this is all about. And, so, that wouldn't take but 30 minutes of your time. All right. Good discussion. Thanks, Paul, for your absolute.
Thank you, Paul.
I think he really likes spreadsheets and stuff, because he's pretty good at them.
Maybe he can give us a class someday. Well, learn to do spreadsheets. You probably know, I don't
I deal with it daily.
Is that spreadsheet or is that tables?
Some is Word and some are Excel.
All right. Further discussion? Okay, so just as a recap, Paul's going to take his 19 items, which covers all of ours,
Plus goals.
plus goals, okay, yeah, plus goals that we have. So if you have additional goals since the last time that you've come up with, please provide to Paul. And then he's going to break those down by the 9 groups. So one group could have 8 things, and one group may only have 3, but you know, we'll see, all right? And we can sort it, but we will sort that out at the next meeting, all right? And then okay? So the next meeting is the 24th at 3 o'clock here. Okay? Any further discussion on that? All right. We don't have any other unfinished business?
Do we have any, maybe this is better asked of you, but has council come up with any new candidates for the open position?
Open position
Zero. You haven't gotten any applications for our,
We have not, we're just waiting to schedule with town council. It's a little hard right now because they're starting with the budget and stuff.
Okay, fair enough, yeah, right, I don't want to take them off
That's
that.
my understanding.
Because we got,
I thought there was one application, but that was before town council. There's not an application.
Yes, there's a few.
Oh,
Just
okay,
haven't-
okay.
The town council just has not done it.
Okay.
No, I understand, okay, that's fair, Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they are in the budget thing, process, so.
Yeah,
Mid-cycle review.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any new business? Other business? Oh, well, I do. Well, it could be other business or it's announcement, but I just wanted to let everybody know that February is Diane's birthday month.
Thank you very much. Festive birthday month.
Why is it festive?
Because I party the whole month.
Gee, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any announcements? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Approved, thank you.
Thanks, Diane.